What's going on, guys? Nathan Labarta here with Lambo Media, brought to you by the Right Way Sports Network. And in this segment, I'm joined by a very special guest, Ryan Halstead. He is in the San Francisco Giants organization. Thank you for joining, Ryan. How you doing, my man?
Doing great, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for coming on. I mean, first of all, I like the flow. How long has it been since you've gotten a cut?
Oh man, so I've actually had it long for like two and a half years now, but I usually trim it up every month or so. You got to keep it tight. But
Yeah,
with
for
all this
sure.
going on, it's been a minute since I got a cut. So with all this going on, for sure.
Yeah, you haven't been able to get a haircut since quarantine?
I haven't yet. No, I'm letting it flow, bro.
Yeah. I like it. So let's start off with your college career. You're an Indiana alum, winning the Big Ten championship in 2013. What was so special about that 2013 team?
Oh man, so many things to be honest with you, bro. I think the biggest thing was our chemistry was when talking about I've been on a lot of teams and our chemistry on that team was pretty elite. We had a bunch of guys that had the same goals and a lot of guys who were really selfless. They didn't really care about personal accolades or anything like that. We were all just trying to just ball out and win every game. So I think when you're talking about an entire team having that mindset, I think that contributed huge to our success. And I mean, having that on top of that, we had a ton of talent on that team too. So we had a ton of guys um, who had that mentality and a ton of guys who had talent to go along with that. So that's what made it really special for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, congrats on that very dominant season. And then you went on to get surgery in 2014. How was that for you, both mentally and physically?
Oh man, surgery was tough. Tearing my ACL because that was my first major injury. I'd never been hurt before that. When talking about like having a major injury, missing a lot of time, so it was tough for me because so I got drafted by the Twins in 2013 after that year, and I declined it and decided to come back for my senior year. And then the home opener, I ended up tearing my ACL. So mentally it was just like crazy because like, oh man, declined the draft to come back to ball out with everybody, and then I got hurt, so I had to miss that year. But silver lining for everything for sure because that rehab process really challenged me as a player because I could have easily just sat in the corner and not felt bad for myself or whatever, anything like that. But I really took the challenge and I put it on myself to come back better than I ever was, and I did that and I crushed the rehab. And I think I just got a lot. My mental strength went up for sure, and I just got better as a baseball player. So end of the day, I'm happy that it happened for sure because I came out of it better than I was. But man, it was a gnarly rehab process, dude. It was crazy.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned the draft a bit. We'll get into that a bit later, but before we get into that, what would you say the most memorable moment of your career was at Indiana?
At IU, for sure. Obviously, going to Omaha, like as a kid growing up, I'm a SoCal kid. So growing up, I'd always watch Cal State Fullerton, dream of playing for them and seeing them go to Rosenblatt back in the day. Just watching them going to the College World Series, it was just something that was always a dream for me as a kid, for sure. Just growing up, just being a baseball player in California. And when it got to me going to college, it was never, especially going to Indiana at the time, they were never a team that has been to Omaha yet or anything like that. So for me to manifest that dream that I had as a kid, especially at Indiana, was special. Special is probably not the right word to use because it was so much more than that. But it was, dude, it was crazy. And just being in that atmosphere at Omaha College World Series is just it's hard to explain unless you're actually there and kind of know what's going on because you got just the buzz of the fans and you got just a bunch of people appreciating college baseball. So it was definitely, man, it was unforgettable experience for me for sure.
Right. So Indiana, IU is obviously a very prestigious school when it comes to baseball at that time. What did your recruitment process look like for college?
So My process was a little bit different than most dudes. So I committed my senior year of high school. I committed a little bit earlier. I committed to an NAIA school close to me. It was a Pacific. Um, and I'd always just deep down in me, I always wanted to go to a bigger school and just when talking about like conference wise, so Pac-12, whatever, SEC, Big Ten, anything like that.
Right.
I always just wanted to kind of get out of Cali and go somewhere, go that route for sure. And then I ended up getting drafted um, in high school by the Astros in the 36th round out of nowhere. I didn't even expect to get drafted at all. I ended up getting drafted, and then a bunch of schools started offering me. So Indiana wasn't one of those schools yet, so I kind of had to choose between what school I kind of wanted to go to and talking about a bigger school. And then it kind of out of the blue, my pitching coach in San Diego was best friends with the Indiana coach at the time. I threw a bullpen for him. I flew out to Indiana the next week. I took my visit, and when I stepped on campus, I just knew, like in my heart, I wanted to go there, just because everything, just checked all the boxes for me, just right off the bat. So it was a really crazy process because that was like 2 weeks before school started. So I ended up decommitting from my NAIA school, Azusa Pacific, and I committed to Indiana. And I just showed up on campus, bro, just a Cali kid with some flip flops, just no idea what he was doing. But it was crazy, dude. But a blessing in disguise for sure, because it was the best decision I've made in my life up to this point for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. So let's transition into your pro career. You mentioned you got drafted multiple times, but you decided to go with the Giants when you got drafted by them in 2015. What was your initial reaction after you got selected?
It was a little bit different than the first couple times, but I was I was a senior in college, so just communicating with my agent at the time. I the day that I got drafted, I pretty much knew I was going to get drafted that day at some point. Just when talking about round, we didn't know what round or anything. So I was actually at home in Cali, and I was just shooting hoops with my pops outside in the backyard. And then we actually weren't even watching the drafts. We were just kind of just hanging out, whatever. And then my mom came outside and was like, "Hey, you just got drafted by the Giants." I was like, "Oh, dang, for real?" So we were just kind of shooting hoops, chilling. But it was awesome, man. It was really cool to get drafted by, especially an organization as prestigious as the Giants are, and just them being a Cali team. My brother actually lives up in San Francisco, so it was kind of just the whole dynamic was pretty cool. And you know, I definitely don't take any of those moments for granted because just getting drafted, whether it be one time, two times, whatever, it's a blessing and it's an amazing experience.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, congrats on getting drafted. That's obviously a huge accomplishment. And your first year in the minors, you threw for a 2.33 ERA. How did you transition into pro ball so smoothly?
I think what helped me, dude, is just me coming straight out of just being at Indiana and us, those last 3 years especially, going deeper in the playoffs and just really getting that experience in those high octane games and those, your adrenaline's pumping, you're out there, and you just learn how to kind of control yourself in situations like that. So transitioning from that straight into pro ball, I think definitely helped me. Um, but it made it easier. I had a really good coaching staff there on that team for sure. They helped me out a lot, but it's definitely different because you play a lot. You play a lot more games, and you gotta, change up your routine and treat your body right and get that recovery and all that kind of stuff. But I think just having that experience in college for sure helped me a ton because I kind of knew what to expect going into pro ball right away.
Yeah, most definitely. So you went on to win Pitcher of the Year in Double A last year in 2019. What differentiated you as a pitcher from the other top pitchers?
Oh, I think it was different for me because I started. So for the first half of the season, I was a reliever, and then the second half, I got transitioned into a starter. So I think just when talking about just having a little bit, I was just a dynamic dude out of the bullpen. I could kind of be different roles, do different things. So I think my coaching staff that was out in Richmond, Virginia, I think they just really appreciated uh, just how dynamic I was, and just they would just kind of hand me the ball in any situation. I just go out and pitch and just go compete. So I think that's that's just what they loved about me, and that's what kind of helped me that year for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. So you've been in the minors since 2015, obviously doing very well at each level. What has been your biggest takeaway thus far from pro ball?
There's definitely a lot of takeaway, but I think one thing that I kind of pride myself on is just sticking to your routine and taking care of yourself on and off the field. We're talking about watch what you put in your body. Take care of yourself in the weight room. Really create a routine that works for you because everybody's different, obviously. So. I think the last couple of years, especially, I found a routine that works for me, and I take pride in just doing that every single day, and you know, going out there and just knowing when I'm on the mound in the game that I've done everything that I can up to that point for everything to fall in place on the mound, so I don't have to think about anything else but just going out there and competing and pitching. So I think that's a huge part of my game that I kind of pride myself on.
Right. And to wrap it up, we'll wrap it up with a quick rapid fire. I've never done this with one of my guests, so this is something new that I'm just now doing.
First
This is my
timer.
first, huh?
I said first timer.
Yep, you are. So I got about 5 rapid fire questions.
Okay.
First off, favorite food?
Favorite food, chicken enchiladas, 100%.
Favorite thing to do outside of baseball?
Jeez. Probably play basketball, even though I shouldn't even be playing basketball.
Can you dunk?
I can, yeah.
What one hitter you'd love to face?
One hitter, what?
One hitter you'd love to face.
I went to college with Kyle Schwarber, so I'd love to eventually face him down the road. That would be pretty crazy.
One team in the MLB that you'd love to throw a perfect game against.
Any team, bro. Doesn't matter. Perfect game, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, for sure. One hitter you would want to strike out when pitching against.
Again, Kyle Schwarber. Because, okay, so he's hit in college in fall ball, he's hit homers off me, so he's got me in college. So if I get next to him, so he has my number right now. So
Do you still stay in contact with him?
yeah, we text here and there, and he actually got married this past off season. So he's a great dude, man. He's a really genuine, down to earth dude, and he's awesome.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, that wraps up everything I have for you, Ryan. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Congrats on everything throughout your very young career thus far, and there's definitely more to come. And stay safe and healthy, man.
Hey, Nathan, I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you having me on. Big time.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for coming on, Ryan.